Good morning, everyone. Welcome to FSM Academy, Field Service Management Academy. Today's topic is territory and capacity planning. Super excited. And for those people who are joining us for the first time, we have converted our series into the FSM Academy. So this is going to happen every 2 weeks, every first 2 weeks of the month. So let us know what topics you want us to cover in future sessions. We're super excited to continue to bring you deep dive on field service management. And today we have a very, very interesting session. I'm actually super excited for it. And I want to put up the safe harbor notice for forward-looking statements because this presentation may contain forward-looking statements as well as our beliefs and assumptions at the time of this presentation. And so we want to make sure that we're not making, purchasing decisions based on what's being presented, and instead, just to check with us before making those decisions. All right. Also, before we jump in, I just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items for today's event. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that you may have. Actually, we have put aside 20 minutes. We got feedback that we want live Q&A sessions. So we have set aside 20 minutes at the end of this to have our experts answer your questions. So not to worry about that. Another thing is that we will be recording this presentation and sharing the recording as well as the PDF version of the presentation slide deck. So if you want to go over it at your own time, you will have access to that. Last but not the least, after this webinar, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. We really value your feedback, especially as we look to improve, these sessions. We want to make them as valuable as possible for you. And also, if we're doing something right, we want to hear back from you. So thank you so much for your feedback. All right, just an introduction slide. If this is your first time joining, hi, my name is Salmat. I'm Senior Outbound Product Manager for Field Service Management here at ServiceNow. And before now, I've worked as a field service manager myself, a dispatcher. So I'm super excited to, walk you through these our foundational features in FSM Academy. And today I have Nikit Pandey. Nikit, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Sure. So, hey everyone, super excited to be here and hoping that you'll get a lot of value from the session. I'm Nikit Pandey. I'm a product manager, inbound product manager with the field services management team. And territory and capacity are like topics that are very close to me. So, looking forward for the feedback and yeah, hope you have a nice session.
Thank you, Nikit. Okay, Nikit was being very humble there. Nikit is our expert on everything territory and capacity planning. So I'm super excited to have that 20-minute session at the end where we get to ask him questions and not even just ask him questions. It's going to be an open discussion. If you guys have things that you want to like share, feedback, questions, Nikit to be open to all of that. So we're excited for that session. Okay, so I just wanted to also put this up because the Field Service Academy is not the only thing that we have going on our live on service now. We have interactive event series throughout the company to help customers speed up adoption and achieve higher value. So if you would want to scan the QR code there, you'll be prompted to our LOSN Live on Service Now page where you can see all of those webinars to connect with experts and peers at future events. All right. Finally, before we go into the series agenda, we would like to get a peer review of field service management. This is very important to us. We really want to know how field service management is helping organizations. And as a thank you to make it better, we will be giving out $25 Amazon gift card to contributors. So thank you for your feedback. All right, like I said before, so the FSM Academy started earlier this year in March, and this is our lineup so far. This year, we're focusing on foundational courses and deep dives, right? We want to lay a foundation so that next year and subsequently we can go deeper into the topics that we have covered this year. So we've talked about introduction to FSM, implementation roadmap for customers, understanding roles in FSM, work order management, and the last session was mastering dispatcher workspace. All of this you can find on our FSM YouTube playlist. We have the recording, and I'm pretty sure they must have sent email with the PDF as well. If you would like those, let me know and I'll send that to you. And then upcoming topics today, obviously, I don't know why that says October 17. It should say 8. Today is 8, except for time traveling. But territory and capacity planning, that's where we currently are. And then we have contractor management coming up in November. So second Wednesday, contractor management. And finally, to close out the year, we will be looking into workforce optimization. Super exciting. Again, just like today, we'll have our inbound expert team to answer any questions that you may have. And all of this also comprise of demos. So those are exciting. All right, now let's walk through today's agenda. So first, I would walk you through planning challenges in field service management as they relate to territory planning, and then we'll go into a demo just to show you what our territory planning console looks like. And then we'll talk about capacity and reservation management. Again, we'll do another live demo to just see how our capacity console works, but also the various definitions and the various concepts around capacity and reservation management. And then finally, we'll have that 20 minutes Q&A session with Nikit. So looking forward to this session. All right. So first, we're going to talk about the planning challenge in field service management. And as always, before I dive into my presentation, I like to introduce us to our use case. So Cool Air Pro is our company that we're focusing on today. They're a nationwide HVAC operation and they handle thousands of calls each month, right? So from urgent outages to preventive maintenance, and with ServiceNow, they've moved from a reactive scheduling to intelligent planning, because they want to be able to cut assignments in half through GenAI dispatching and smart diagnosis, right? Um, all right, so let's take a look at Cool Air Pro and their current territories. How do they structure their field service operation? So our company operates in six key regions, right? Santa Clara, USA, San Francisco, of course, California as well. We have them in Montreal, Waltham, Massachusetts, New York City, as well as Washington, D.C. Each of these locations represent a territory, so a logical coverage area that kind of groups work and resources as well as demand. And so in field service management, territories define who takes or who can take job, where can they take job, ensuring that we're having the right technician dispatched to the right region, right? And most times, not all territories are geographic. So some organizations define them by customers or even hybrid model. But the goal is really, really simple, right? It's to make coverage very intelligent. We want to reduce travel time. We want to eliminate that overlap between territories, scheduling overlap, I mean, and making sure that customers are seeing very realistic availability based on where their teams actually operate, right? Why does territory planning matter? So once you've defined your territories, and then we start to look into the real value. So territory planning isn't just about drawing lines on a map, it's that creating that operational clarity, that for customers will drive coverage and also efficiency for them. So let's take a look at Cool Air Pro's regions again, right? We have California, we have New York, we have Massachusetts, we have Washington, D.C., and then we have Montreal, right? So in this case, when we talk about coverage and efficiency, we are looking to, by defining this, as the coverage area for Cool Air Pro, we're looking to reduce travel time by assigning work closer to a technician's base or their home location, right? We want to also limit overlap between teams so that dispatchers know exactly who owns what regions. And then we also want to enable that surge support. So that means that when nearby territories can help, if another territory is maybe experiencing an overload emergency surge, And the business value here, enabling territories, is really, really tangible. So we're seeing higher first commit accuracy. This means that the right slot is booked. Like when the customer is going to book an appointment, they're booking the right slot the first time around. So we're not having to change things around. We're also seeing better SLA protection because appointment windows are now being very realistic, not because they're being optimistic, right? They're actually realistic. And then we also have improved technician utilization, which reduces, cost to serve. So essentially, territory planning gives both sides of the equation. So we're seeing happier customers and we're also seeing efficient field operations. Now let's talk about core concept of territory planning, right? Kind of breaking it down into how they're structured inside of field service management. A territory is powered by some key elements. First one being the groups, right? Groups, we have qualification groups that ensure that the technician has the right skills for the type of work that they're trying to do. And we talked about, qualification and assignment dispatch in previous sessions if we want to refer back to them. And then we have assignment groups, they determine who's receiving new work for that territory. And then we have dispatch group who's defining who can assign and view work to other people, right? Now, the thing with groups is groups are static. So once a technician belongs to a group, there's no way to really define when they belong to that group or how long they belong to that group. They're kind of time bound. And that's why we introduced agent membership into our territory planning, right? Agent membership adds that time awareness, individual time boundness for our technicians, allowing you to be able to define when a technician start and end it within a territory. For me, for instance, when I worked at Amazon as a field service manager, we used to see a lot of times we're trying to move a technician from maybe Seattle to another location, because they're trying to help with bringing up, one of our stores, for instance. Even in the case of Cool Air Pro, if they're opening a new location from San Francisco in New York City, we would be able to relocate an agent, or we want to put that time awareness for an agent to go over there to help them bringing up a store, or even someone is sick, maybe not even as far as San Francisco, New York, it could be San Francisco, San Diego, whatever the case may be. Instead of having to, in groups, you would have to remove that agent from the San Francisco group and add them to San Diego group. And sometimes you could forget to add them back. And when an urgent work comes in, it's mistakenly assigned to them because they're still in that group that they don't necessarily belong to in a short-term basis. So this is where agent membership comes in really handy because of that time awareness where like you can make those changes. And this means essentially for us, for territory planning, we are now able to fully support temporary locations, seasonal coverage, or even project-based assignments like store bring up or I don't know, without having to constantly change that group membership and then you're forgetting to add or remove someone, right? So in short, groups define the capability and access, and then agent membership defines presence and timing for our agent. And but then together they make up, a concept of territory, giving us customers flexibility to really reflect how field teams are operating, right? And now that we've talked about agent membership as far as part of the territory and capacity planning, since we understand that, let's look at one of the most powerful applications we have for territory planning, which is agent relocation, right? So in field operations, it's really, really common for technicians to temporarily have to go and support another region. So maybe I often refer to Star Bring Up a lot, but that's a short-term project or maybe seasonal demand. We have the winter coming up in Houston. We'll have like a surge and we want to move agents from Austin to Houston, San Diego to San Francisco in the case of Co-Air Pro or when a neighboring territory is short-staffed. So previously, this will require a lot of manual work, having to update group membership or reassigning home location because you have to also be cognizant of the agent's home location now when you're updating group membership or remembering to reverse it later whenever the agent is done in San Francisco. Now we're having to change that around. And so with agent relocation, that process is automated and time bound. So you can easily move an agent like Ethan Smith here from San Francisco to New York, and then you define the start and the end time, and then FSM just takes care of the rest of it, right? And then it also automatically updates the technician's membership in that destination territory, manages their start time and their end time as well, and ensures that scheduling aligns with local availability as well as their home base. So, in short, it's really simple, but it's a guided experience that allows to keep operations very flexible without all of the admin overhead of updating group membership and removing someone and then forgetting to add them back, right? So dispatchers and territory planners, they're able to now plan confidently, and technicians know exactly where, they're expected to be and when. Okay, now that we've talked about territory planning, I would like to show you guys inside of the territory planning console. So first I'll go into the territory planning console and show the territories as well as the hierarchy. Remember in this case, my territory is California, Pro, our headquarters is in California. So I'll be showing California, but also the child territories, San Diego, San Francisco, Cupertino, um, hmm, San Diego, California cities always escape me sometimes. And then we'll look at the qualification group, the assignment group, the dispatch group, and then we'll take a look at the agent membership as well, walk through the conditions, and finally, I will show you how to relocate an agent, the agent relocation feature in territory planning console. I'm going to be moving Ethan Smith, like I showed previously, from San Francisco to New York for a short-term coverage, specifying start date and end time, as well as showing you the feature that allows you to be able to set Ethan to be a primary member now in New York City, and as well as defining his own location in New York City. Oh, sorry, excuse me. That was a okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Nikit, can you confirm you can see my demo environment?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Okay. So when we come into the CSM FSM configurable workspace here, on this, oh, I need to go in as my territory planner. Excuse me. All right. Okay, perfect. When we come into the CSM FSM configurable workspace here, go into the territory, and I'm highlighting this so you can see the territory planning. This icon here is our territory planning console. When we open that, we see all of our territories listed here. California, Colorado, Illinois, New York City, and of course I had to represent Nigeria. Okay, so first I'm opening California, and if we click here, we can see the child territory for California. Cupertino, San Diego, San Francisco, Santa Clara, and Sunnyvale. Of course, we're focusing today on San Francisco, and so we can view this map. This is such a beautiful display. You can see the map very, very clearly. You can see all of your areas, and you can view layers by viewport or by territories. Now let's go into layers. So what this essentially does is if I click on this, I would be able to see where are my agents in San Francisco. So I have Ethan Smith here. I have Janice Taylor as one of my other agents. I believe I have, oh, and it's showing me all of the other agents. How cool is this? I can also see assets, although for San Francisco, I don't know that I have any assets, so I'll go back in there and do California as a whole. Let's do California. Okay, so assets, we're seeing I have assets here in San Diego as well. We have assets how wonderful it is so that you can just see where you have what assets. So for instance, now, if we're, have a work in San Francisco that requires this particular asset hardware, you can see, oh, wow, we don't have that. We have it in San Jose instead of San Francisco, and we can have, the technician drive there or whatever the case may be to make sure that they have it in their van or their stock room. And then we also have this showing crew. So sometimes, we have to do works in crew and maybe two people crew, three people crew. The map also shows where our crews are present. And then we're going into the heat map, which I believe that you can what's the word? Configure your heat map to show you whatever you want to show. For me, I'm showing work at our task here. So when I click on the heat map, you can see that beautiful red and green in San Francisco here because that's where I have all of my work at our task for this. So if I go into, excuse me. Oh, no, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to highlight San Francisco. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to go back, so I don't take all the time. But
Can you unhide California? Like hide California and then come back.
hi, California.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Unclick California. No, yeah. Now,
thank you. Okay, how cool is this? All the heat maps where we have tasks, so many tasks around this area. And here, I like a good heat map. It's like a really good visual representation of like what's going on. This is like not so serious, but this is like, oh, serious. Okay, and as I was saying, that you can add condition for your layers and for your heat map so that you can, whatever you want to see essentially on your map, you can configure that here. How wonderful is that? And then you can also set your territory detail settings here. What do you want to see on your territory planning console? And then we have details here, San Francisco, is it active? What's the color? You can change those and you can pre-configure those. And then lastly, we have KPIs. You can also create a new territory if you want to from here. So that's perfect. Okay, now that we've looked at the map, I wanted to go deeper into our territory, which is San Francisco, and kind of talk through what I meant about the groups, right? So first of all, I have my group managers. Currently, Mary Allen, as we logged in the other time, is my group territory manager for San Francisco, and then we have qualification group, North American West qualifier. We have our dispatch group and our assignment group as well. Now, when I go through all these three of them, as we can see, I can add a new one. And if I click into one, for instance, I can just see group membership. I can add a group membership, but there is no time awareness, right? So I would if I want to make changes, I have to remove, an agent or add an agent. There's no time awareness for a group membership. And that's why, again, we introduce the agent membership. When we come into agent membership here, we see that time awareness. So saying Maurice Davis is our agent in San Francisco from August 11 to December 31st, for instance. He's a primary member here and he's currently active, right? That's what agent membership brings. And it's perfect for that, like relocation basis or just whatever case, he's going on vacation. It's perfect for that. And then we can also add crew membership here to other crews, and we can set territory conditions. In San Francisco, if we have so San Francisco is a city in California. If, for instance, we want to go deeper into counties, for instance, we can then define child territory essentially for San Francisco, and they will be under here. And then we have capacity assignment for San Francisco, which I will be going into as soon as I finish this demo. So now let's take a look at agent relocation. All right. So now I want to relocate Ethan Smith from San Francisco to New York City. And I think we want to relocate him from 8th of October until he'll be there for throughout the whole month. He's not going to be here for Halloween, unfortunately. So then we're going to move Ethan here. Um, excuse me, source territory is San Francisco. And because of that distance of Ethan being all the way in New York City, we definitely want to set Ethan as inactive agent. Now, on the end that Ethan is maybe not going super far away, maybe he's going from how close are things? I want to use Texas because that's what I'm very familiar with. So maybe he's going from Houston to Katy, for instance. We can set him as active agent so that we can still borrow him from time to time. But San Francisco to New York is really far, so we're just going to set him as inactive, right? And then destination territory is New York, right? So New York City, and we want to set him for sure as a primary agent in New York so that he's being put forward whenever there's a job in New York. We want to make sure that we're considering Ethan in New York. And then we also want to set a new agent location because remember when we go into scheduling considers when we're considering travel time and travel from location to location, we're also considering home base where the agent is going from. So we want to set a new start location for Ethan, and I'll just use New York location one here. Oh, um, okay, perfect. And end location also is this, and we can successfully relocate Ethan. Now, let's go back into our agent membership. I'm going to just refresh. Ooh, no, reload. Okay, so what we've essentially done relocating Ethan means that Ethan is now, if you see Ethan now has three entries here, right? Essentially, and we're still in San Francisco, by the way. So Ethan Smith is from October 8th until October 31. Ethan is not going to be in San Francisco, so he's appearing as false here because he's not going to be around. However, when after October 31, so October 31 through January 31st, he's going to be back, so he's showing as true. If we go into New York City, child territories, New York City, agent membership. Ethan now appears in New York City from October 8th to October 31st as a primary member. So after that, so it's very automatic. We don't have to keep moving Ethan around. As soon as it's October 31, guess what? Ethan's time in New York is over. He's not going to be able to see the Empire State Building at that time. Okay, so that's what we have for our territory planning features. Now I would like to go back into my presentation and show you the capacity planning. All right. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about capacity and reservation management. And I know if you have any questions, again, we'll have time for Nikki to answer our questions. So now that we've covered how territories define where work happens, let's talk about, let's shift kind of to capacity and determining how much work can happen. So we know where work can happen. Now we want to talk about how much work can happen. So at its core, capacity is the amount of work that we can promise within a given time window. So it allows us to be able to say, yes, you can take that appointment at 2 p.m. on Thursday, and we know that we have the right technician, if things around, he's going to be able to cover that, right? And capacity is driven by three things for us in FSM. So we have the aggregated agent schedule, tasks, and hours as well. And we're going to cover that in upcoming slides. The goal of capacity planning is super simple, is to make sure that appointment windows are reliable and we're also having balanced utilization. So we don't want a territory to be underbooked or a territory to be overbooked, right? When we manage capacity effectively, you're protecting SLA essentially, and you're avoiding that overbooking and making sure that technicians they're being utilized properly and their days are full, right? But they're not being overloaded with work. And as always, we have to talk about key concepts, right? And so now that we know what capacity is, let's talk about how does it come together inside FSM. And there are a couple building blocks. So we'll start with the demand channel. This is how we're categorizing incoming work. Think about the demand channel like a funnel, right? So it could be any condition that we set essentially, right? It could be break fix, it could be SLA. So break fix meaning work type. It could be skills, whatever your business, however your business wants to define your demand channel. And then we have capacity assignment, which answers where exactly and when are we applying that capacity. Our capacity assignment is one of the most important core concept of capacity planning because it links the territories, the groups, and the demand channels to the actual booking window so that the system knows what exact time slot to offer. And then we have capacity definition, which is the foundation. It's determining how capacity is calculated. What are we using to define our capacity? Are we using aggregated agent schedule? Are we using task? Are we using hours? What are we pulling from? And then it ensures that the model essentially reflects, that real operational limit. And then finally, we have capacity reservation. Capacity reservation essentially is defining how much of our total capacity should be held back for specific demand channel, right? So for example, are we reserving 40% of our daily capacity for urgent break fix request so that way if we have an emergency coming during the day, we have someone who's able to take care of it, right? And so together, all of this really important concept, they let us be able to set realistic scheduling goals with predicting with predictable utilization, but also to be able to offer customers reliable service commitments. Let's talk about demand channel, which is one of the foundations of how we're organizing incoming work. A demand channel is simply a category used to group work based on shared attributes. So it could be things like work type, it could be things like skills, and it could be either of both, honestly. It could be any other thing. It could be SLAs, right? But essentially, we're setting conditional logic based on whatever you want to your what kind of attribute is, right? And in this case for Cool Air Pro, incoming demands are categorized by work type. So we have AC installation. Remember, they're HVAC company, right? So we have AC installation, we have break fix, we have preventive maintenance, duct cleaning even as one of our different work type. And if they want to also split it by skills, we could say, hey, HVAC install is a skill. A technician must be able to have, that HVAC installation experience. Wiring is a skill. Duct work inventing another skill. And we can say priority as well. Again, demand channel really is whatever, category, company or an organization is choosing to define work by. Next, we have capacity assignment. Once we've defined where the work happens through our territories, the next step is understanding where and when we apply capacity. And that's what capacity assignment does. So capacity assignment is that connector between your field setup and your capacity model. It's determining essentially where capacity applies. In this instance, for instance, again for Cool Air Pro, we're applying capacity to San Francisco territory for internal agent. We can also, in capacity assignment, we will also be able to define our reoccurrence. So is this capacity definition repeating itself every weekday? Is it every weekend? What's the time zone? Is it active? How long do we want to repeat this for? Is it if you leave it open-ended like this in the screenshot, it just continues going. And if you want to define it also by, okay, I wanted to repeat till this day, stop, you can also define that. And you can notice on that board that it references something called a capacity definition, which I mentioned in the core concept. We'll look at that next because that's another foundation of the model. How is capacity calculated? But here, capacity assignment, we're focusing on the scope and the timing, making sure that capacity is mapped essentially to the right team and the right schedule. So now that we've talked about capacity assignment, demand channel, let's look into capacity definition. And we have three models to choose from. So we're starting with the task. Task using a fixed task amount as the measure of capacity, right? And it's best for standardized, repeatable jobs such as preventive maintenance. And then we go into hours, defining by a fixed pool of hours, essentially. And this is really good also for midterm planning or flexible planning. When you know how many hours you want to allocate to a territory or a work type, bridging that gap between forecasting and execution. And new, actually, in our Zurich family release, we've introduced, and if you joined us for our What's New in Zurich, you would have seen us talk in detail about the aggregated agents schedule. This is introduced for a hybrid capacity model, which is pulling directly from technicians' schedule to calculate capacity in real time. But also, we're allowing planners to be able to define and plan, forward by setting aside blocks for days or weeks ahead. So whenever they can say, oh, pull from agent schedule up until this particular day. After this day, because we don't have agent schedule up to 3 months out, you can start using that planner defined, blocks. So together, essentially, we're having real-time accuracy for near-term scheduling and also structured predictability for future planning, right? And then we'll talk about reservation rule is our final concept that I want to talk about. We've defined how much capacity we have, and now we need to talk about how to use that capacity wisely, right? And that's where reservation rules come in. So reservation rules essentially determines what portion of the total capacity you want to hold for specific type of work. So it's like shares, like you want to keep shares of something. So we have 100 capacity. You want to keep 20% for a demand channel, for a work type. So you want to keep 20% for preventive maintenance. You want to keep 20% for urgent work, but you also want to allow overflow, right? So each rule essentially starts with a demand channel, like our install, break fix, preventive maintenance. And then from there, we can define the condition. And then we also have control over overflow. So you can define whether unused capacity can spill into another demand channel, and you can set like a maximum overflow percentage to make sure that we're keeping utilization balance. So if 40% of capacity is reserved, for instance, for break fix, and it's not fully booked, you can let that leftover spill. But in all essence, our reservation rules make planning a lot smarter, so that if we have urgent work or high value work, it's always going to get space on the calendar, and we're also still keeping our technician utilization pretty efficient. Okay, now that we've talked about that, I want us to take a look into our capacity console. So I'll open the capacity console, show what each bottle and toggle, what they represent, show the capacity definition, and we'll open the side panel and show one capacity assignment and reservation rule as well. Okay, we are logged in. I'm going to go back and log in as Marie, our capacity and our territory and capacity planner. Okay, so going into, oh, Marie, yes, girl. All right. CSM, FSM, configurable workspace. And this, again, this icon, this represents our capacity console. And here we can define what territory we want to take a look at. We're looking at Cool Air Pro in San Francisco, California. As we talked about, we have our demand channel for San Francisco into five: AC installation, AC repair, duct cleaning, preventive maintenance, and then we have smart thermostat and energy efficiency upgrade. Again, you can define the demand channel for your company however you want. You can use skills, you can use SLAs, a priority. Mine for Colepro, ours for Colepro in this instance is the work type, right? And so this is our capacity console. Here you can choose if you want to view your if you want to view your demand channel, you can specific demand channel, you can click that one and it would be the only one showing up on your console. And then you can group your console by territory or demand. So if I change it to demand channel, for instance, we are seeing it defined by our demand channel. Excuse me. And you can define hours or task. You can set a filter. I only want to see um, underutilized zones. I only want to see optimally utilized, overutilized, or not defined at all. And then the legend here, capacity colors. You can define the filter and the legend. You can define them as you want. You can change the color as you want. You can say, hey, underutilized for me is 30%, below 30%, optimally utilized is 50%, whatever, the company, the organization determines. And then we have, we can see a capacity console up to 2 weeks out. So these are all super awesome, right? And on this console, we're seeing our capacity from Monday, 6th of October. So we're seeing it through October 30th, actually. And I want to show you real quickly something interesting. So we're seeing time slots, for in block, defined in block for Monday, and then at some point, I wonder if, okay, keep going. Perfect. And now we start seeing this left shaded area. This represents that aggregated agent schedule that we talked about, saying that beyond a particular window, let's now use agents, define block 200 hours of defined block instead of using our agent schedule. So if you click here, for instance, we have 7 agents in San Francisco. It was eight, but because we moved Ethan, now we have 7 agents. So we have 7 agents in San Francisco. They're working 9 hours a day, so that's why we have 63 hours, right? And so beyond 23rd of October, we don't really know their schedule. So instead of, guessing, let's just allocate 200 hours so that we still allow customers to be able to book. So that's what the aggregated agent schedule essentially does. And also we can open here reservation rules, which is showing what we talked about there with, allocating capacity to different demand channel. So here we just spread everything equally to say, hey, duct cleaning, preventive maintenance, smart thermostat, AC repair, AC installation, let's have 20%, let our capacity go 20% into that. And it reflects here on our capacity console to where you're seeing, the allocated capacity is 12.6 hours because it's spread evenly between all five, and we don't necessarily have like overflow defined for that. So yeah, that's our capacity console. And if I go into the list here, we can make those changes, like I said, here where you can look at the condition. So for tire inspection, for instance, we have set the condition to be work type, but we can change the condition and just move them around as we want. Our capacity definitions as well. Again, we set the one that I just showed was defined by aggregated agent schedule, but if we want, we can change that and make that into hours or task. Okay, I'm sorry, Nikki, I've taken 5 minutes out of your Q&A time. I apologize. So
Please do take more.
okay, so all right, so that's essentially our capacity planning and territory planning console. Please let us know if you want to see, maybe a more in-depth, whatever you want to see, honestly. And now I will allow Nikit to have his Q&A session. So any questions that we have? Okay, let me go into our Q&A and just okay. So first question here, Nikit, is we have an agent traveling between sites, and we can see their routes, but how can we determine how long the agent traveled? From the routes, can we measure the distance traveled by an agent?
Mm. Uh, so I'm not entirely sure of an answer for this one. I believe there is capability for us to find how much time was spent in between because we capture the actuals.
Hey,
But
hey, Niket, I
in
can take
other
this
than
question.
the yeah, please.
So we have something called as a location history, which we capture in the geo history table. So where we collect the GPS coordinates based on the travel or the route taken by the technicians for the entire day. So you can leverage the table, and if you want to do any calculations based on that, that will be the place where you need to do that.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'll just move on. Thank you so much, Vasant. And Vasant is our expert. We've one of our experts in field service management as well. So scheduling, dispatching. So I guess we're really happy to have Vasant too. Okay, so someone else is, I see so much reference to Zurich release. When our courses on ServiceNow University are available for Zurich release for fundamental and implementation. We are actively working on that actually. Our release was just last month, so we're actively working on that. We should have an update for you. I don't want to specify time so that I'm not, over promising, but I can check that and let you know for sure. I will state very clearly in our next call when this will be updated so that you can have a plan forward. All right, another question is route optimization is broke. I don't know if this is a question. But fixed agent starting time gonna appear on maps. I don't, Joshua, hi. I'm not sure that this is a question. I think it was a follow-up from another question. Oh, okay. Another question regarding the travel time, we have the same question. The geolocation and time data does not provide the travel time without a lot of server calculation.
Yeah, today I think the only way to do the calculation is like post. Um, mm, Probably would like to dig a little deeper, understand what exactly is the requirement. Salmat, if you can collect this as a feedback, we can circle back on this.
Okay. So Santosh and Raymond, I will be reaching out to you via email. Please also, if you can email me, I can provide my email in the chat. I will be taking the feedback from you and I can provide you with more information. I will actually share my email. So anybody who has any questions can send me an email. All right. Oh, I
And
see.
I think there is one more question.
Oh,
So there was a question from an anonymous attendee, right, where their question was they have two territories very close to each other, so many times technicians are working in the other territory because of workload, and it becomes normal on day to day, but the number of technicians is high and cannot be managed by one dispatch group. So it feels like a very big territory with large double digit of numbers, in which case territory planning is becoming difficult. So I had a follow-up question on this, which I got an answer on, and found out that the number of technicians across these two territories is around 50. So whosoever asked this question, like very interesting one because the number of agents is pretty high. And if you are like if there is a the boundaries are also pretty large. So the areas that they're covering is Manhattan and I think New Jersey. So the area is very large as well. So in that case, like if I were to recommend something, I would urge you to look at territory planning more from an analytics platform perspective. So we have these capabilities of layers to figure out like where the agents are located, where your assets are located, where the work is coming right, and in context of heat map and reevaluate how you are creating the territories. So if this is very frequently happening that people are moving to different territories, that to long distance, then ideally the technician performance will be like technician will be spending a lot of time traveling, which essentially you don't want to do. So what I would suggest is like probably either break the territories down further and figure out which agents need to belong to these smaller areas so that they smaller areas especially that have high density of work, so that they are not relocating that frequently, however have a pool of people that could relocate more frequently, but at the same time uh, keep in mind when you're breaking these down that you want to reduce the travel time as well. So and even technicians might not have a preference to travel to like very large distances because it takes a lot of time and they are able to get less work done. So think about restructuring the territory in that way. Like, let me know if I was able to answer the question. But again, like use the analytics features on the territory planning console. We build these features just for the same purpose. You can look at the KPIs, you can look at the other details of the territory and set some context on how you want to, where is the work coming at, and how do you want to distribute the work to agents, and where your agents are located to, right? So that's another context that you have.
Thank you, Nikit. Although this question, I think the person who asked already figured it out. I wanted to read it out so other people who might be watching would be able to pick something from it. So, what are the roles required for permission to the territory planning console?
So if you just want to have read access, then territory read role, FSM territory read gives you access to territory console. But if you want to have a planner access, which basically means that you have overarching access to edit territories, create geographies, everything on the territory front, then we have a role called FSM territory planner. Uh, and if you might have noticed, Salma showed that we also have territory manager capability, adding managers on the territory front. For that, we have a separate role called territory manager. The beauty of these roles is like, especially for the manager, if you are a manager, you could be managing only certain territories. So we also have built-in security so that a manager sees only the territories that, like when he logs in, he sees only the territories that he works on, right? And yeah, those are the three primary roles that we have.
Thank you, Nikit. Do we have a date for when Capacity Console will support Capacity Bucket to allow override or updates from the from the console?
Joshua, that's already supported in Z. So if you start playing around with the instances, then you'll be able to see capacity buckets.
Actually, a question just came in. Nikit, can you clarify it doesn't support if we use agent schedule or aggregated schedule?
Not with agent schedule, but we support it with aggregated agent schedule.
Correct.
Agent schedule has been deprecated from like Z onwards.
Correct.
So moving forward, you want like if you already have agent schedule that you were using, you could continue using it. But uh, our guideline is that anyone who wants to look at agent schedule starts using it, aggregated agent schedule.
All right. In the absence of any other questions, thank you so much for spending your Wednesdays, your second Wednesdays of the month with us here at FSM. We're looking forward to having you on the next one. The next one is contractor management. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.